Hello and welcome to PMCLounge.com. In this video, let's talk about persona. What exactly is a persona in Agile? This topic is going to be helpful if you're preparing for your PMP exam. The Agile part of your PMP exam, you will find a topic called persona. If you're preparing for your PMI-ACP or Certified Scrum Master or any other certification related to Agile, you will find a concept known as persona there. We have created a ton of videos on the agile topics that are going to be helpful for your PMP exam. So check out the second link in the description. That's because the first link is going to be a relevant article on this topic over at our official website pmclounge.com. So if you're into reading articles, check the first link out. Second link to access the entire playlist of all the agile topics that you need to know when you're preparing for your PMP exam. And third link is going to be all the topics that you need to know if you're preparing for your PMI ACP exam. That being clear, that being said, let's get started. So what exactly is a persona? A persona is created to help the team visualize and understand an ideal user. So who is an ideal user for your product? How do you visualize the ideal user using your software or product? How do you understand more about the way the ideal user is going to use your software? How do you visualize it? All of that, all of those questions are answered when you have a persona for your software product. Now, the second thing is how do you actually create a persona? That's something that we are going to look at in later in this video itself. So persona is basically a profile. So you're not really drawing a person up, you're creating a profile of that person. That person, of course, is the ideal user, and this profile is going to contain personal facts, and it can even contain a photo of an ideal user. So that is how you create a persona, and that is why you saw that first slide with all these different faces, different people basically, because these could all be personas. Now, later on in this video, I'll show you how a persona is created. I'll give you a sample persona as well. So stick around. So why exactly do you need this persona? I mean, this sounds a bit weird that you are basically creating a profile of this ideal user and you're writing all this information about this user. Why are you doing so? Well, when you do so, the team, the Scrum team, is going to get a face of this ideal user, right? That they are going to put a face to it, and that becomes more relatable. And secondly, when the team writes information about this person, about this ideal user, the team gets to know the user better, the ideal user better. The team gets to know how they actually want the ideal user to use their software product. The team also gets to know what motivates the ideal user, what motivates the user to use this product, in what ways, in what kind of scenarios, and how as well. Right now, it also helps the team to think through and make the right choice about how and what to develop, because when you know what motivates the ideal user, how the user uses the product, or when the user actually uses the product, the team will eventually make the right choices about how they want to develop the product and what they exactly want to develop as well. These, all of this, right? All of these, when you have answers to all of these and when you have a persona in place, this is going to help make the user stories more relatable, because you have that persona, you have that face staring at you, and you are going to read out your user stories, and you are going to be you're going to be more relatable to that ideal user, and you are going to understand how this user is going to use this user story. So it makes the entire process, the entire exercise, very relatable as well as personal. Quick reminder, our insanely famous and popular PM 101 training program, 1.5 hours of free project management training, is available on pmclounge.com/PM101. Check it out. Everything's free. So as I said, we are going to take a look at a sample persona. Let's assume that there is an ideal user by the name Terry Reynolds. You are creating your software product which is a social media website or an app, something that we talked about in the previous story maps video as well. Fourth link in the description, direct link to that video, story maps, do check it out. So now you're creating a persona of a user known as Terry Reynolds, and you have perhaps taken this picture from a copyright free website, free to use picture that you have basically used for persona. Now, this is the profile that you have created for Terry Reynolds. Uh, the user is 28 years old. The user is a marketing consultant based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The user is an active social media user. And remember, your project, what you're working on right now, is a social media website or an social media application, right? Or a social media application. That's what you're working on. So the kind of role that you have assigned to Terry here is that she is an active social media user. Now, of course, you can create multiple personas for your project, right? You can create a persona for a user who is not an active social media user. You can create a persona for someone who is mildly active, right? Moderate user of social media. You can create a persona for that person as well. Now, based on that, you will have different user stories. You will be able to relate different user stories to these kind of personas. Now, here's a bio, quick detail about Terry. Terry checks her social media every 2 hours, stays up to date with the happenings in the city and what her friends are posting, is open to make new connections as well, and have made a few online only friends. That means she has a few friends that are only online. She has met them only online. She has never met them offline. So this is a short bio about Terry. Now, what are the goals that you can think of when it comes to Terry and your product? Terry wants to keep up with her friends. Terry wants to receive new friends' suggestions. Terry wants to be aware of what's happening in and around Philadelphia. And Terry wants more ways to engage with friends. So, the kind of user stories that you're going to design for Terry here, your product, your software or app or website, whatever that you're creating, should focus on these goals that Terry has when it comes to using your product. How can you send her better friends suggestions? Because that is one of her frustrations when it comes to using your product. Poor suggestions of friends that have nothing in common. So how can you solve this frustration, right? That is how you're going to come up with user stories. Too many ads of local products. So she's based in Philadelphia. We already have that information, and she's perhaps getting too many ads of local products. Remember, her goal is not to buy local products when she visits the website or the app. Her goal is to keep up with her friends, is to have new friend suggestions. She does not want to buy local products. She's not doing it. She doesn't perhaps mind one or two, a few ads of the local products, but when it comes to too many ads, that is what frustrates her. So that is a sample persona of Terry Reynolds. Now, did you imagine all of this? How do you actually come up with a sample persona, right? This picture is a copyright free picture from Unsplash. This is something that I'm using. This is not a real, of course, it is a real person, but this is not a real user. That's the bottom line. So how exactly is a persona created? This is not something that you just imagine, right? You actually interview and survey enough users. So you're going to interview and survey several of your active social media website or app users, and then you will be able to create a profile, and then you're going to start thinking like them, because that's the whole idea. You need to start thinking like Terry, who is an active user of your website or app. When you start thinking like her, you will be able to work on her frustrations and goals. The goals and frustrations, the ones that you enter in the profile, they should be common to several answers. It should not be just one person giving you the goals and frustrations, right? They should be common across several users, and that is when you enter them in the profile. Remember, you're not creating a profile for every single user or every single active user of your website. What you're actually doing is you are basically filtering them out. You're creating just one persona that represents every single social media, active social media user of your website or app. Now, this exercise, when you're doing this, it is going to help your team think about Terry's opinion when they are taking a decision on designing a feature. So let's say your team is coming up with a new feature where advertisers can advertise their local products. Now, how many ads should a user see when they are logged in? That is something that you're going to think through Terry's mind, right? You're going to take Terry's opinion, who is your ideal user. And one of her frustrations is that she does not want to see too many ads of the local products because she's not there to buy stuff, right? She's there to keep up with her friends and to find what's happening in her city. So perhaps when you're designing this feature, you can limit the number of ads that a user is going to see every time they log in. Perhaps they should see just one ad because the active social media user, they are going to log in every 2 hours. So if they log in, let's say 6 or 8 times in a day, they should see 6 or 8 local products. That's it. They shouldn't see 20 local products, right? And they shouldn't see 3 or 4 products every time they log in. So that's something that the team can think when they are taking a decision on designing a feature like this. So that's how personas are very, very powerful. And that's how personas help the team to create the perfect product. Question for this video: do you think personas are related to story maps? And like I said earlier, fourth link in the description is the direct link to the video on story maps if you've forgotten it. Do you think personas and story maps are related? If yes, why? If no, why not? Let me know in the comments. Definitely looking forward to your answers. And that's all that we had in this video. I hope you were able to understand the concept of persona and how powerful it really is. Like, share, subscribe to us. Don't forget to check out our website, pmclounge.com. And if you like our work, please consider contributing at pmclounge.com/contribute. Thank you and have a nice day.